My Chinese musical journey began in Toronto when I was 12, and now over 40 years later, my Friday nights are still spent going to rehearsal with my erhu. The modern Chinese orchestra was developed in the earlier part of the 20th century and has 4 sections: the winds, plucked strings, bow strings, and percussion. In Toronto, the first Chinese orchestra, the Chinese Instrumental Music Group of the University of Toronto, or CIMGOT, was established in 1969 by engineering student Ming Chan.
And I didn't set out to create or to do something big or something, if you want to say so. To me, it just knowing some friends, we worked together, we studied together, we played together, and along the way we play Chinese music, and if we can bring a little bit of Chinese culture to the Chinese community as well as the rest of Canadian community, that's a good thing. Yeah. That's basically it.
I grew an instant liking to the Chinese music. I found it very simple and melodic, and it touched me. So we had played in, like, I remember the early years. I went to elementary school, like Ogden School, and played for the students there. And we went through all the other Chinese student associations. We went to like Waterloo or Queens or some other universities to perform during their cultural performances or something. And we try to promote our passion, which is traditional Chinese music, to more people, which during those days wasn't very popular, relatively unknown to the public in general. Honestly, like we had no like noble feelings other than self-serving reasons as to it's a nice social weekly event that I see our good friends and play together also was very enjoyable too. Each of us had take away different enjoyments from that. Some are more music oriented, some are more social oriented, but those are the two main ingredients for I think on a amateur group, right? I mean, there's no professional reason that you're together, you're not paid. It's more for your own benefits. So what are those benefits? Like one for social reason, and maybe two is for self-interest. Like that's something you like to learn and you like to improve on, like something you are going to be better at. You like to play the flute or play the erhu to a certain enjoyable level, and you feel you're satisfied that. And secondly, you are seeing your good friends again, and sometimes you compare your progress or each one, or each urge each one on, or something like that. So I think they're both important factors in how the group stayed together in those days. We used to, after rehearsal, people, the older folks anyways, used to go out to have nightcaps, like on Friday night. So we we like to continue the tradition. So after the group dissolved, and we decided to, carry on a monthly, just a social gathering with a few of the people of that generation or something. Initially, there was just a group among friends of the same age or same generation. Later on, with the injection of the younger generation of the kids from our friends, and that took a little bit different thing. And we became more the instructors or the seniors in the group, and the group took on like new blood and a new vitality maybe, and that changed the group a bit, because it's no longer just a social gathering of same age, like university students. They are a younger high school age or students, and that was a big change for us in those days, and we have to worry about like the next generation, maybe how to pique their interest and get them progressing, and how to keep them, right, or have them like take over one day or something, and that became the a focus for us.
I was one of these youth. Of Chinese heritage, I was born and raised in Toronto. As visible minorities, we experienced bullying and being perceived as foreigners at school. Being Chinese became a burden, and the struggle to assimilate meant setting aside language and culture in order to fit in. Alternatively, having been raised in Canada, immigrant Chinese considered us as bananas, meaning yellow on the outside but white on the inside, or Zhoksing, which is a derogatory term for local-born Chinese, implying we are not fully Chinese nor fully Western. Zhoksing is literally the section of a bamboo with two segmented ends where nothing can go through either end, meaning we were neither here nor there. Our parents' fears that we would lose our Chinese identity resulted in their efforts to instill Chinese language and culture in us. As well, through their own experiences with racism, we were told that we had to work harder, keep our head down, and try to blend in. We lived with this constant tension between cultures, both of which considered us as outsiders. CIMGOT provided a safe place for us, where we learned music of our heritage, were mentored by the older musicians, and built friendships based on our common experiences and backgrounds.
But for me, it was establishing some roots for a long time, because being born here, you don't get that opportunity. You just don't. And for the most part, it was fantastic. I thought from hanging out, like I said, a tweener with older, university students was actually quite, invigorating, educational. They were like big brothers or sisters to me, you just can't sort of, I'm very grateful for that opportunity. I really enjoyed my time because it was, yes, the music was important. I participated with playing as opposed to organizing or things like that, or even doing some of the music, the sheet music and whatnot. But the social aspects, getting to know more of the culture, because a lot of the folks that participated in that were very much Chinese, right, as compared to me growing up in Canada, right? So a very different, I wouldn't say values, but very different way of looking at things, and that sort of allowed me to sort of have a different perspective, right? I mean, perspective is always good, right? It may have allowed me more Chinese than I was in the past, right? And then that's great. I mean, Chinese, that's what, we're always identified as not, Canadian, right? So there you go, right? In today's age, I mean, it's tough to be a non-white, basically, right? A minority, right? And with my history, because I was one or two families living in a neighborhood, yeah, we were always the minority, and you learn how to survive, right? And so this is, if we thought Canadians were nice before, and they were, I think the minorities that live amongst them in the early days, like my early days, we were even nicer. We had to be nicer. We had to be more, I wouldn't say, maybe complacent, not complacent, but more careful, right, about what you said, what you did, and those kind of things, right? So, very, very good in terms of what we did, what it taught me. I really appreciated that time.
But I look back at my time in Chinese music very fondly. It was part of my growing up, but part of my coming of age, and so it's just something that I look back quite fondly on. And I'm happy that a lot of that is still going on in Toronto. You're constantly exposed to it, much so than when back in the the 70s and the 80s when I really started playing that kind of stuff. It was basically just art orchestra. We're an island on our own. So it's been really encouraging to see that culture is still growing. And for any new immigrants that are coming to Canada, I think that gives them an identification of where they're coming from as well. Joining the orchestra and playing with the orchestra and traveling with the orchestra really gave me a sense of community. Definitely playing with players that were older than me, but then also playing with players who were about the same age allowed me to grow up through my adolescence. And again, just keeping myself exposed to that Chinese culture really helped me understand where the roots of the music and also the culture in terms of like the older folks would actually have, a lot of them were students who had graduated students from the University of Toronto. They brought a different perspective that I wouldn't have considered otherwise. I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. But of course, they were all like visa students or students that come over from overseas, from Hong Kong or from China. But so just through osmosis, meeting and talking to those people and performing with those people really gave me a sense of where my culture was prior to my existence here. A lot of the friendships that I developed in playing with the orchestra, and also I eventually married one of the orchestra players, has really been very fulfilling. I'm still close friends with a lot of those people, even well after the orchestra finished.
You saw it as a worthwhile thing, like to invest a part of your life onto something that you find you like, and of course there's a price to pay with the time and passion and whatnot, but I think it's worthwhile at the end. And yeah, I never imagined like I thought it was just a hobby, but it became a big part of my life. So that was something I didn't expect, and it was a pleasant surprise for me.
These CIMGOT leaders, Ming Chan, Ming Wong, and the others, became my role models. I saw their dedication and appreciated their efforts to teach us about music and our culture. It ignited my passion for Chinese music, and later, as a leader, fueled my efforts to connect and provide a place of inclusivity in the Chinese orchestra. I understand the pain of being an outsider. I am Chinese, yes, and I continue to learn about my roots to this day. But I am also second-generation Canadian, and I want to play music that also reflects my Canadian experience. I'm finally learning to embrace both sides of my identity. As a result, my work in this genre as an orchestra leader, musician, educator, and author is intentional to help others find belonging through music and connection. My Chinese music journey began when I found belonging in music of my heritage. It continues with me trying to pass it forward to the next generation, as well as teach and encourage Canadians of all backgrounds to learn and create new works with these traditional instruments. CIMGOT has left an indelible mark in shaping me into the person that I am today. This is my story, and this is my journey. Come walk with me.